It is worth noting that the personality-determined malaise of groupthink produces once again those 4 most frequently occurring symptoms of past military incompetence: wastage of manpower, overconfidence, underestimation of the enemy, and ignoring of intelligence reports. These, it seems, are the enduring hazards of professionalizing violence. And I can tell you these are not only the hazards of professionalizing violence, these are the enduring hazards for us as human beings, as leaders, that we can all fall into. And as you pointed out, this book is a big warning of what not to do. I said it was the last thing I'm going to read, but there's this guy's funny, and I did a bad job of relaying some of his humor. Here's the afterword of this book. And this is the last thing I'm going to read from this book after 6 podcasts.
Sure.
He says, this is so British. He says, lest the reader should have doubted my qualifications to write this book, let me assure him that I have marked authoritarian traits, a weak ego, fear of failure motivation, and no illusions about the fact that I would have made a grossly incompetent general. It takes one to know one. And that was from the author in 1975. So a little bit of humor. And, he says it takes one to know one. But that's unfortunately not true. It's unfortunately not true. If you think you're incompetent, there's a better chance that you're not incompetent. You can see where I'm going with this. If you think you're incompetent, there's a better chance that you're not incompetent, because if you think you're incompetent, you're actually humble and you're thinking, ooh, I need to listen to what other people have to say. I need to check myself. I need to learn. I need to open my mind and see what other information I can gather because I feel like I might be incompetent. Mm-hmm. So if you feel, it's kind of when people ask me about the imposter syndrome. Yeah. What about imposter syndrome? Good. That means you're actually thinking, man, do I even need to be? I always had that. I always felt like, oh, man, if I need to be making decisions, I better do my homework. Mm-hmm. I better think this through. I better pay attention. So if you think you're incompetent, you probably aren't. But if you've been listening to these 6 straight podcasts and you've been thinking that this book is about all the incompetent leaders around you, that's a little warning sign. Mm-hmm. Be careful, because if you are in that mindset where you think, oh, man, I can't believe how jacked up all these other leaders are, but not you, red flag, because chances are this is about you. And look, here's the other red flag. It's a scale, right? You brought that up. It's a continuum. Yeah. And so all of us, even if you feel like you're pretty competent, you are under threat of being dragged to incompetency. Yeah. So this book is just a warning sign after warning sign after warning sign. And by the way, it's nothing new. Yeah. There's almost nothing new. There's one thing that I said that's a new thought to me. I forget what it was. But in these 400 pages and whatever we just did 12, 15 hours worth of podcasts, it's a rehash. It's a reinforcement of information that I already knew, that we already knew, that we talk about all the time, that we've seen in a bunch of other situations. It's a rehash, but we're all getting, we can all get pulled over there. We can get pulled towards that authoritarian mindset. And you know why we get pulled towards the authoritarian mindset? We get pulled towards that authoritarian mindset because it seems easier. Yeah. It seems easier to say, shut up and do what I told you to do. Yeah. It seems easier to say, you know what, I'm not going to listen to that piece of information. Right. It seems easier to do that. It seems like the right move. Yeah. It seems easier to say, you know what, the competitor's never going to be able to do what we're doing. Mm-hmm. It seems easier, and it's not. So you got to get watched. You got to watch out. You got to pay attention. You got to be careful. We all have to be on guard. Incompetence is out there sort of ready to attack. It's ready to attack.
Yes, sir.
And if you're not on guard, it'll grab you, it'll pull you down, and you'll be making bad decisions and getting people killed or ruining your business or ruining your marriage or ruining your life through incompetence. So we have to pay attention. Got to be careful.
It's true.
We got to stay on the path.
Yes, sir. The path.
Speaking of which, what do you got for us? How do you advise we avoid incompetence?
Incompetence.
Mental incompetence, leadership incompetence, physical incompetence.
Well, yeah.
We don't want to have that. What do you got for us? Echo Charles.
That was the, the Dunning-Kruger Effect, right? That you kind of referred to, where the it takes one to know one that's not necessarily true. Yeah, that it feels like when you think you know everything, it's like it's easy to know everything when you think there's only like 3 or 4 things to know.
Yeah.
But then
when you start jiu-jitsu and you're like, man, once I know how to stop that arm lock, I'll be good.
Kind of be, yeah.
Because you got arm locked 3 times
yeah.
by some random, blue belt, and you're like, oh, dude, I'm going to stop that.
Yeah.
And then you get choked.
Figured it out.
Then you learn how to stop the choke. Then you get heel hooked.
Yeah, Dave.
You learn how to stop that heel hook. Yeah, it just goes on.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, so the guy
actually it does stop after like you get heel hooked, arm locked, Ezekiel choked, freaking, then you go, oh, there's a lot more. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes. So
it takes a minute to convince you of that.
Yeah. So that's when you it's all the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's essentially like, when you think people who are like so confident, they're the ones that know less than the people who are like not confident at all because they know how much there is not to know. Almost, they have a grasp on it or whatever. Yeah. Dave. Good deal, Dave. Said something, I forget his exact words, but I wish I remembered it. It was something like, oh yeah, when he's talking about jiu-jitsu, he was like, it's almost like you get you learn, what do you say? It's almost like you get worse over time because yesterday there was only 3 things I didn't know. Yeah. Like now there's like 40 things I don't know kind of thing.
And tomorrow there's 1,000 things.
Yeah,
and the day that you start to feel okay is when you go, oh, there's an infinite number of things I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't know anything.
Yeah. Exactly right.